Hello everyone, myself Ranjit Kesi, working as an assistant professor at MIT Mysore, Department of CSE. I will be engaging you a session on Unix programming, 5th semester course. So in our previous session, we actually learnt on the different APIs for a general file types, isn't it? That is, we learnt on how exactly a general file type can be opened and can be accessed. So any general file type, before it needs to be accessed, it has to be opened, and hence we come across a few sort of an APIs on the same regard. That is, we learnt and discussed Open API. With the help of which a new process can actually access a file. So before accessing any particular file, it needs to open the particular file with the help of an Open API. Then we learnt on how exactly this particular API, this particular process can actually perform read operation and perform write operation. And once again, we also learnt on this another API called create, with the help of which a brand new file can be created. And in the read and write API, these are the two different APIs meant for reading some data from the existing file or writing some amount of information for an existing file. That is what the last couple of discussion that has been happened with session 1. So coming to this particular session, we will continue with the furthermore APIs meant for the same particular general file types. Well, in today's session, we will learn on this set of an APIs for a general file types. That is our close API, another one is an FCNTL API, another one is an LSEEK, link, unlink, and then stat and then fstat. So coming to the very first one, the close. So whenever we have been opened a connection with an existing file with a process, and after its particular access with that particular file, we need to terminate the connection. We need to terminate the connection between the process and then the file, and that particular connection termination can be done with the help of an API called close. So close is an API with the help of which we can able to terminate a connection between a process and then an opened file. This is the syntax for a close API, that is the function prototype for a close API with the help of which a connection between a process and then file can be terminated. So this particular function called close takes only one argument, that is an of type integer, and the value that we will be considering is the file descriptor. So this is the particular file descriptor which talks about which particular file I need to terminate the connection with that particular process. So the calling process which executes this particular function called close, it will actually terminate this mentioned file and its connection. For example, if some particular process has accessed 10 different particular files, a particular process has accessed 10 different files, at that instance, if only file 1 and file 2 is being closed, and before closing the rest of the different particular files, if the particular process itself terminates, if the process itself been terminated, at that instance the rest of other particular files will be closed by the kernel. So the kernel is the one who actually takes the job of closing the opened files for which the process is in itself present. At that instance, all the opened process, all the opened files of that particular process will be terminated. So that is what this particular close API will actually perform. Next API is FCNTL. So FCNTL is an API with the help of which we can able to control or actually set the access modifier flag. We actually talked about this particular different modifier flags at the time of an open API, isn't it? So that modifier flags can also be customized or can also be controlled even at the later consequences. For example, if any particular process has been opened a file, and if that particular process or if that particular file is being opened in a different mode and with a different modifier flags, even at the later consequences, this particular process can actually able to modify the modifier flags. Well, so this is the syntax for FCNTL API with the help of which you can able to customize or you can able to modify the existing modifier flags. That is, you can able to add or you can able to delete or you can able to customize the modifier flags based upon the need. So here in this particular FCNTL API, it is observed to be it can take 2 or 3 different arguments. That is, it can take at max of 3 different arguments, where exactly the third argument is said to be the optional one. So coming to this particular very first argument, that is the file descriptor. This actually specifies to which particular file I am actually trying to modify the modifier flags. So this specify the file to be which the modification for the modifier flags are being performed. Then the second one, so this the command, this actually specify the command which will specify what kind of an action does this particular fcntl is going to perform. Whether this particular command is of type to check or to query the existing modifier flags or to impose a new modifier flags. So that is what this particular command is all about. Then the third one, suppose if you have specified the second argument as you are trying to customize or you are trying to impose more number of modifier flags, at that instance we can make use of this particular the third argument. So these are the different possible values which can be passed for the second argument of an fcntl that actually specify the command or the action that needs to be performed on the specified file. So this is nothing but file controlling on the specified file. So what kind of a file controlling is all about? That is exactly specified by this particular set of different commands that can be passed for the second argument. Very first one is the getfl. So that is a very first one is a getfl, the second one is setfl, the third one is an f_getft, the fourth one is f_setft and fdupft. So these are the 5 different possible values with the help of which you can able to modify the command flag, that is the modifier flags. That is the use of this particular, the second argument called the command for this particular fcntl API. The very first one is getfl. So if you have been made use of this particular command as the second argument for this fcntl API, at that instance it tries to return all the modifier flags or the access flags meant for that particular file will be returned. So the return value is very simple. It will is nothing but it will return all the different flags that are been associated with the specified file. That is, you are trying to check or you are trying to query the modifier flag or access flags on that particular file. That is what the use of this particular the very first argument called getfl. And if you make use of this particular getfl, at that instance it doesn't require the third argument. Okay, and only this particular commands, that is an setfl and the setfd and dupfd will require the third argument to be specified. In all other particular cases it doesn't require the third argument. The third argument is said to be the optional one. So here in this particular case, that is an setfl. So setfl is another particular command with the help of which you can able to set or you can able to impose a new modifier flag for the existing file. That is, it tries to perform addition or adding one more particular modifier flag for the opened file. That is, the file descriptor is actually referring to the opened file, and for that particular file it is trying to set a new more number of modifier flags. In our previous session, when discussing about this Open API, we have come across a lot of different access modifier flags, isn't it? Out of which not all these particular different modifier flags can be used for this particular purpose. Only 2 different modifier flags you can able to add at the later consequences with the help of an fcntl, and that 2 different modifier flags are nothing but O_append and then O_append and then O_non_block. So these are the 2 different modifier flags you can able to add for the same open file even at the later stages. That is, we discussed in the previous session, right? That is, the O_append corresponds to if you are opening the particular file and any newly typed information or any newly fed information supposed to be appended at the end of that particular file, that specify the location in which the newly typed information has to be stored. And the next one, the non-block. So this specify if I am trying to access any particular file and if it is actually not been able to open that particular file, at that instance it should work in the manner of non-blocking mode of execution. That is, if the particular file is not been accessible at that instance, the control should return to the process and not be in the waiting state. So that is the two different uses of these two different modifier flags. So these two can be used or can be changed even at the later consequences when the file is already been opened by a process with the help of an FCNTL API. That is, you need to make use of setFL as a second argument, and the third argument you can specify either of this. The way you need to specify the modification of the existing modifier flags. Then the next modifier flag is the next command that can be the command possible value for the second argument is the get ft. So what exactly this particular get ft is? It tries to return the value of the constant called close on exec. So we have a constant called close on exec. So the value of this particular close on exec constant will be returned by this particular the get ft. And if you really want to customize, or if you really want to modify the value of a close on exec, you can make use of this particular the other value, the command called set ft. So both these corresponds to the accessing of that particular same constant called close on exec. Let us know what exactly the use of close on exec constant is all about. First and foremost, this particular close on exec stands for what exactly the role that needs to be performed when a particular program is being switched to a different program or a different piece of code that is getting executed. Basically, we are pretty sure whenever a program is being compiled and then executed, a process is being created, isn't it? That is, this particular process is been executing the same set of instruction of this particular program. We have got a lot of different APIs with the help of which, functions with the help of which we can able to change or we can able to load a new program for a currently running process. That is, if this particular process executes an API called exec. So we are pretty sure that is exec is an API with the help of which a new program can be loaded for execution. We will discuss more on it in the later sessions. That is, exec is an API with the help of which you can able to load a new program for the currently running process. At that instance, the program data of that particular process will be swapped with a new program. At that instance, what exactly the connection with the existing program that needs to be performed? That is, the currently running program should be closed, and that is the role of this particular close on exec constant that actually signify or corresponds to. Where exactly if this close on exec value is been set to 1, it means to say that the close on exec constant is set to be turned on. And if the close on exec value has been set as 0, it means to say that the close on exec has been turned off. If it has been turned on, means to say that if whenever this particular process switches to a new program, the already been opened program needs to be closed and it will be done automatically by the kernel. Other way around, it need to be manually performed. That is what this particular close on exec constant stands for. And these two different commands corresponds to the accessing of a same close on exec constant. And the last value that can be passed as an second argument for this particular FCNTL API, that is DUPFT, which stands for duplication of file descriptor. So duplication of file descriptor is very essential for a process if it is trying to perform parallel operation on a same particular file, whether it is reading from an input source or writing to the output terminal. At that instance, the duplicated file descriptors pointing for a same file means a lot for that particular process. We are pretty sure that is, if you have got a process P1 and if it is accessing a file called F1 with the help of an open file, open API, at that instance it will return a file descriptor. So whenever a particular process tries to access a file called F1 with the help of an open API, it will return an integer value, and that integer value is nothing but a file descriptor. So basically file descriptors are nothing but the pointer to an open file with the help of which you can able to refer to the open files. And in some particular consequences, it may require a same particular process tries to interact with the same particular file in a parallel mode. At that instance, it requires more number of file descriptors pointing for the same particular open file. At that instance, we can able to duplicate this particular file descriptors to corresponds to the same open file, and that particular operation can be done with the help of this argument, this particular command called dupfd, which stands for duplication of file descriptors. So this is the advantages of using this particular FCNTL API. That is the other aspect of an FCNTL API, with the help of which you can also able to duplication of existing file descriptor. And this particular command, it requires the third argument to be specified. The third argument needs to be passed. The third argument that needs to be passed is another integer. It's actually the file descriptor value, and care must be taken. For example, if the opened file, its file descriptor is something like 120, at that instance the next value, that is the duplication file descriptor, the duplicated file descriptor should be greater than this for the same FCNTL API, which means to say that the duplicated entry can never be a number that is lesser than that of the existing file descriptor. So that is how we can able to actually create a duplication entry for the existing file descriptors. So these are the different possible values that can be passed for the FCNTL API for the sake of modifying or customizing or retrieving or querying the modifier flags of any open file. So that is what this FCNTL corresponds to. And there is a two different working philosophy of this particular FCNTL API. So in any Unix versions, 5 and Unix prior versions do support this FCNTL API for the sake of this querying or setting an attributes for the open file. That is, you can able to query, or you can able to impose, or you can able to customize the access modifier flags with the help of an FCNTL API. Where in case of an Unix 5 and later versions do support the same particular FCNTL for a different job, that is an file lock mechanism. So you will learn more on this particular file lock mechanism in the very next session, with the help of which we can able to lock an existing file. Yeah. The very next API for a general file API is the lseek API, with the help of which you can able to perform random access of a data from an open file. So we are pretty sure that is whenever a file needs to be accessed, before accessing the particular file, it has to be opened with the help of an open API, followed by which you can able to make use read API for reading the information from an existing file, or write API for writing the information to the open file, isn't it? Called lseek. So lseek is an API with the help of which a random access of a data from an open file can be performed. So the syntax of this particular lseek API is like this. This is the syntax for the lseek API, with the help of which you can able to perform the random access of a data from an open file. That random access of a data means we can actually try to customize. For example, if I consider this as my particular file and it has got this amount of an information, I need to specify if I am trying to perform write operation, from which point of a stage of this particular file I need to perform that write operation, or if I am actually trying to perform read operation, from which particular position I need to perform the next cycle of an read operation from it. So that can be customized with the help of an API called lseek, where exactly the pointer, the cursor, we can be moved to a appropriate position from here. That is what the basic use of this particular API called lseek API. This particular lseek API takes 3 different arguments. That is, the very first one is a file descriptor. Once again, this particular file descriptor specify to which particular file I am trying to perform the random access of a data. And don't think about this particular lseek is meant for reading or writing information. This lseek is just limited for placing the particular position for the next read or write operation. So this is just specifying the position of that particular file to continue for the next read or write operation, and not exactly this lseek is itself not trying to perform read or write operation. So this particular lseek takes a very first argument as a file descriptor value that specifies to which file I'm trying to perform this random access. I'm actually trying to customize the position. And the second one is all about the position, the value position that corresponds to what amount of the bytes of value I need to add or need to subtract from the existing point of position of that particular file. And the last one, that is the whence. So whence is an argument which actually specifies from which point of stage of that particular file I need to perform addition or a subtraction of this particular position, the mentioned position. Whether from this particular, if this is a particular file, if I specify the position need to be altered of 50 bytes, at that instance I am really not aware from which point of stage of this particular file I need to add or subtract this particular 50 position, isn't it? So that can be specified with the help of the third argument, that is the whence argument, with the help of which you can able to specify from where exactly that altering of that particular bytes for the customizing of this particular position can be performed. Okay, and coming to this particular whence argument, there are got of plenty of different possible values which with the help of which you can able to specify the actual location from where exactly this position can be altered, and the possible values are something like this. Yeah, these are the different possible values which can be passed as a value for this the third argument called whence for the LCK-API. The very first one is seek cur and the next one is on seek set and the other one is on seek end. So seek cur stands for the current position of that particular file. So it actually specify the current position from where this particular the offsetting of the position needs to be performed. And the next one is an seek set. This specify the beginning position of this particular file, and the seek end specify the end of that particular file. Well, here in this particular LCK-API, there are some particular possibilities in which this LCK-API may fail to perform or it can fail to execute, and that particular consequences are nothing but if the specified file descriptor is an inappropriate value. Even at that consequence you can expect a failure of execution, and as we are all clear, the failure of execution is always represented as the negative integer, that is a -1. And the other particular possible in which this particular LCK-API may fail to perform is if I specify the value of a position which is beyond that particular size of a file. For example, if I consider the entire file size is itself 200 bytes, and if I specify the position as an offsetting of this particular position for 250 something like that, at that instance, since it is actually going beyond the limit of that particular file size itself, and then the execution of this particular LCK-API will definitely fail, and at that instance the return value will be a negative integer that stands for the failure of execution. So later part you can diagnose what is the reason for that particular failure of execution, and so appropriate flags will be turned on to diagnose the reason for the actual failure of execution for the same particular API. Yeah, the very next API that will be discussed here is the link and then the unlink. So what actually this use of this API called link? So link is an API with the help of which a new hard link can be created for an existing file. So if you really want to create any new particular hard link for an existing file, that can be done with the help of an API called link. And similarly, unlink is an API with the help of which an existing hard link can be deleted for an existing file. So this is the definition, common definition for this link and then the unlink API. And coming back to this, that is the prototype for this particular link API is something like this. A link API which will take two different arguments. The one is the current link and the other is an new link. So the current link is it is nothing but the file, the particular existing file, its absolute path name, and the other one is the new file path name. So with the help of which you can able to create a new link for an existing file. So for example, some particular consequences, if same particular file has been there, if there are more number of process, which are trying to perform read or separate write operations, at that instance you can able to make use of this particular creating an ARD link, with the help of which a copy of that particular data will be shared to the multiple user environment, with the help of which you can able to achieve multiple actions or performance on the same particular piece of data. The link API, the return value is nothing but the success status or a failure of a execution status. That success status is when the new link, specified new link is been achieved to create, or in all other particular consequences you can expect a one common failure of execution status, that is an -1. So this particular link API takes two different arguments, that is the existing link and the other one is the new link. So that is about this particular link API, and when this particular link API has been executed, you can expect the file attribute, one of the file attribute called ARD link count will be incremented by 1, because it is trying to create a new ARD link for an existing file. And similarly, the API for the function prototype for the unlink is it takes only one argument, that is the current link. It specifies, this particular unlink API will specify which particular ARD link you are trying to delete. So this unlink API will actually perform a deletion of an existing ARD link for an file, and the operation of this, the execution of this unlink API will actually reflect the one of the file attribute called ARD link count, and the ARD link count will be decremented by 1, and any particular ARD link, any particular file ARD link with 0, that entry will itself will be removed from the system. Okay, so stat and fstat are the API with the help of which you can able to check or query file attributes. We are pretty sure that is what exactly a file attribute is. It is all about the file descriptions. So this attributes corresponds to that particular file description, that may stands for the file type, file inode number, file system ID, username or group ID. All this information are a part of an file attributes, and if you really want to check at any point of time the attributes of any particular file, that can be performed with the help of an API called a stat and then fstat. Both this particular stat and fstat are being used for the common operation. That common operation is nothing but querying of an attributes, and the the function prototype for this particular stat and fstat API is something like this. Yeah, coming back to this prototype for this stat and then fstat API is, so stat and fstat, both these particular APIs are meant for the same job, that is to retrieve the file attributes of any particular file, because we may require any particular process at its execution state at that point of time, if it really wants to access some particular files for the sake of reading some data or writing some data to the same particular file, at that instance its attributes must be checked, because it may be for some particular cases some particular files may be restricted for the writing operation, or some particular files may be restricted for the reading operation. At that instance, before accessing the particular file, a process can actually get to know what are the particular attributes of that particular file. That can be done with the help of this particular API called stat and then fstat API. And both this particular stat and then fstat API will take two different arguments. The very first one is the file path name, the other one is a structure called statv. So where exactly this fstat API will take the very first argument as an file descriptor. The only difference between stat and then fstat is stat will take file path name as the first argument, and the fstat will take the file descriptor as the very first argument. That is, you can actually pass the complete path name for the specified file for which the attributes needs to be queried, or else it is sufficient to specify the file descriptor value itself. Because at any point of time, if a process has been opened a file descriptor will be returned. You can directly use that particular file descriptor to check the file attributes, or else you can even specify the path name. So that is how these two different APIs will differ. but the common aspect is that is the retrieving of an file attributes, and the retrieving file attributes will be returned with the help of a structure called stat v in both the cases. So stat v is the structure which will actually contain the file attributes, the values for the specified or for the queried file, and this particular structure will contain the piece of information. Yeah, coming back to this, the second argument of stat and then fstat API is the structure that actually contains the attributes for the specified file. So it is having a structure defined to take all these particular different attributes for a specified file, and in this particular structure it is all been set for all the recording of all different file attributes of a specified file, and it actually tries to record the attributes of a given file in this particular structure. In this particular structure, can be observed that it tries to check the device ID, it tries to check inode number, it tries to check the mode, it tries to check the ARD-link count, and user ID, group ID, and the size, and the access time, modification time, and the change time. So all these corresponds to the different attributes of a file, and the structure, the address of this particular structure will be written to the calling process, and that calling process can make use of any of this particular attribute for the appropriate usage for the operation on the given file, whether it is trying to access the contents of the particular file, or it is trying to change the modification time, or else it is trying to change the user ID or group ID. All these things can be performed by retrieving the values with the help of a structure called stat v with the help of a stat and then fstat. So this is about the usage of an API called stat and then fstat, which has been meant for querying of attributes of an file. So both this particular stat and fstat has been used for the same operation, and the only difference is stat will take the file path name as an argument, and fstat will take file descriptor as an argument. So that is all for today's session.